I'm gonna try really hard not to cry. I failed as a mother. I failed as a wife. I failed as a woman. Cue the tears. The month of October is really special now to me because it recognizes and brings awareness to infant loss and miscarriages. I never thought that I would be a woman who would have to experience this. The reason why I decided to share this with you is because talking about miscarriage is very uncommon. It is often overlooked, and I think it's very necessary because it happens to more women than you know. If I can say that, hey, this happened to me too, then maybe whoever is going through this can be encouraged and can be uplifted and can feel like they're not alone. I'm going to share the story as to how and why and what you should do when dealing with a miscarriage. Before we get into this really sad sob story, I just want to remind you to please subscribe to this channel and turn on your notifications. That way you get notified every single Tuesday when the latest and greatest video comes out to you. So for those of you guys who don't know, I have two beautiful boys. And so naturally, I didn't think I would ever have to experience something like this. Not to mention, I'm Puerto Rican. We're a pretty fertile breed. You know what I mean? I never knew anybody in my family who experienced miscarriages, and nobody ever brought it up. So I just naturally assumed I'm gonna have this third child. All will be well. Things will work out. Yes, I'm a little older. Yes, I do understand that there are complications that come whenever you reach a certain age bracket. But because of the track record that I had in the past, with my previous two births and deliveries, I just thought that everything would be fine. I can just plan it. No big deal. We wanted to have a child in 2020. We ended up getting pregnant in May of 2020, and it was my husband's birthday when we finally got the stick and said, you're pregnant. We cried, we rejoiced, we were happy, we were excited, but something just kind of felt off in my body. And if you've been pregnant before, you kind of already know what the deal is when it comes to pregnancy. You kind of know the symptoms, you know your signs, you know your body better than anybody else. So when I felt like there was this dense ball in my body, in the middle of my body, it just felt weird. And I didn't know if that was maybe it's because I'm having a different gender. You know, I've only experienced having baby boys, so maybe this could be a girl. I don't know. But the more that the pregnancy went on, the more I felt like this cramping, very dense ball in my stomach. 5 days later, I went to the bathroom and I was experiencing some blood loss. Obviously, that's not common in pregnancy. I immediately took a test and it immediately showed that it was negative. I knew. You know, at that point, you know, everything that you were hoping for and everything that you were rejoicing just got stolen from you. Naturally, you just want to think like, oh, okay, this happened. No big deal. We'll just try again later. We'll just try again when I'm better. But then there's that other part of you that really grasped onto the truth that that was a baby. I just lost a baby. My body just lost a child. And before you know it, you are just plummeted with this state of, how did this happen? Why did this happen? How could I have had two perfectly healthy babies in the past? Now all of a sudden, my body is not able to carry a third child. And so I was going through so many mixed emotions, and I didn't understand how to process them all at once because they all came crashing in at the same time. Let's not even forget about the fact that your Hormones are crazy hellish. I hate them. Imagine having the very first trimester stage of being pregnant. All of a sudden you get knocked out with postpartum. Okay, so you're dealing with all of these hormonal changes on top of these emotional changes. It turns into this whirlwind of, I don't even know what to think. I don't even know what to feel. And I don't even know who I am anymore, because what is life and what is wrong with me that I can't do this? A very natural thing that has been done since the beginning of time. I failed as a mother. I failed as a wife. I failed as a woman. Do you see why it was so hard to make a video? So what happens after the miscarriage? You're basically just trying to wait for your body to get back to its normal state. I'm gonna wait till this is over so that I can become myself again. But the fact of the matter is that you will never be the same. You will always think about this child. You will always think about this experience. And then moving forward, you're constantly going to be in fear about whether or not it can happen again. And those were the things that I was really wrestling with. And I'm pretty sure that if you're out there experiencing this, you're probably wrestling with these things too. You know, recently, if you follow along, John Legend and his wife, Chrissy Teigen, they had lost a child. What they did, they openly expressed how they felt and they openly grieved in public. And some people shunned that. Some people were like, oh, that's too private. Oh, you know, you should have just kept it to yourself. But a lot of the times it's like, I have to talk about this. I have to talk about this because nobody's going to bring it up. I've had friends who were like, oh, I'm sorry that this happened, but just have faith that you'll have another child. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. I'll look forward to my 4th child, but what about paying attention to the 3rd child that's no longer here? Or the people who are like, oh, I think you have to change your diet, or I think you have to do this, or maybe you should do that. You know, they try to fix the problem. We don't need to be fixed. We just need to talk. You lose a child, it's kind of the same as losing anyone who was alive, anyone who you loved, anybody who you were attached to. You lost that. But I think it hurts a little bit more because it was your body that was producing this life and your body was unable to produce it. So you kind of feel very almost guilty, almost empty, almost as if I am not adequate enough to fulfill this. If that is you, or if it's somebody you know, if it's your spouse, if you're a husband watching this and this is your wife that's going through this, if it's your friend that is going through this, if it's you that's going through this, then I just want to encourage you and lift you up, and I want to tell you to talk about it. The next time somebody says, what happened or how are you, don't be ashamed to talk about it. It helps to understand that this was not your fault. It helps to understand that whatever happened in your body doesn't mean that your body is cursed. It doesn't mean that your body is toxic. It doesn't mean that you won't be able to produce a child again. It doesn't mean that what happened becomes your identity. All it means is that God has a plan, and even though we don't know it, even though we can't understand it, we have to trust it because God's goodness is going to come out of it. I think about that baby all the time. What we decided to do is we decided to name our baby. We named our baby Star, and we bought a rose bush so that every season I could see roses. And I know that Star will bloom. And I know that I will see that child again. And I know that when I go up there one day, when I'm finally said and done, I know that I will hold that child in my arms. At the end of the day, that baby was your baby, period. It was your baby. So do not feel as though you can't talk about that baby. Do not feel as though you can't hang pictures up of that baby. Do not feel as though you cannot openly express the love that you had for that child. And do not for a second believe that you are any less of a woman. If you're out there and you're trying to understand, you know, what can I do for this grieving person? What can I do for someone who's experienced miscarriage? I would just refer back to the book of Job. He was experiencing a lot. And so his friends came to him, and rather than try to tell him how to fix things, rather than try to tell him, you know, oh, things will get better later, just have hope, have faith, you know, the very first thing that they really did was they came and they sat with him. They sat with him in silence. And so I know that may sound really crazy to do or to think about, but sometimes we just need to know that we're not alone in this situation. And so what I was really telling my husband is that I don't need you to fix things. I don't need you to make things better. I need you to sit with me. I need you to cry with me. We need to know that we are not going through this alone, even if that means you're just sitting in silence with that person. And I was able to come out of this experience with a level of acceptance because I had people in my corner who didn't try to be God. They simply tried to be my loved ones. And that is what you need at the end of this day. So that is my story. That is something that I was going through during this season. Thank you for all of the loved ones who were with me. Thank you for all of the support. But please, you guys, have this conversation because your girls aren't okay until you guys help them accept that they're okay. And until you guys provide an environment that makes them feel okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please put in the comments if you know anybody who needs to see this, or just some encouragement for those who have been going through this, or maybe you're going through it and this really helped. I would love to hear if it did so for you in the comments below. And I love you. I appreciate you. And I can't wait to hear from you guys again soon. Bye-bye.